chaired the lab here. I'm with one of the most unique artists that I've had the chance of working with. One of the best musicians that I've had the chance of working with. One of the few people that have actually given me the chance to document musicians. Mr. Nic Preen. How are you doing, brother?
Super good, thanks, Ben. That wasn't hard to. Collaborating with you is easy. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I always go back to that situation. I'm like, before I left Johannesburg, I kind of put it out there. When I get to Cape Town, I need to work with at least one musician or one band.
Yeah.
Right? And then I put a post on Facebook. Oh no, Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And I listed all the bands that I want to work with it, and I tagged them, and only you replied.
I was looking at our YouTube the other day, and I don't know what video it is, but there's a comment I checked. It was like, says Ben Moyo, hey, I want to come on tour with you guys.
Sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I saw that yesterday.
Right?
It happened, yeah.
That's crazy.
It's cool. It's what's that movie? The Secret. You put it out there and it'll come. Yeah.
I've been sort of like trying to do that like as much as I can, you know, sort of like just put it out there for people that some people that I love working with.
Nice,
you know, like directors that I'm into, musicians that I like working with, you know. For those who don't know, like who are you, what do you do, and all that stuff.
I'm Nic Preen, you said that. I play in a band called The World of Birds. I also have solo music. I'm a musician first and foremost. And then I was in a band called Bairre, but currently it's The World of Birds is the top priority.
Nice.
So yeah, that's me.
What's the story? You know, what's your story in terms of music, art? How did you get into it, and all that stuff?
Music was just a passion, as like anyone in their formative years. Like music makes a huge impact on you when you're growing up, and then it wasn't something I really wanted to take seriously, but I just couldn't help it. I was playing guitar, listening to music constantly, and then just wanted to be part of the scene almost. And then when I left school, friends of mine started playing together, and it was just a nice way to make friends and like people, and that's like a common thread you had with people was music and what was happening in Cape Town at the time. And I started that band coming out of high school, and then it did really well. It was mostly because of members of my band. We were really hardworking, and then also at that age you just have like drive,
right?
Incredible drive.
Fresh out of school.
Exactly, and I think if you have that like drive, anything will happen. And so the band just started doing super well. So it just became the only route for me. It was just like people would be like, "Hey, well, why aren't you?" If I wanted to do anything else, they'd be like, "Well, are you crazy? You're doing this because." People were enjoying it at the time, so that's kind of got forced on me, music, and that's not a complaint. I was stoked, and then it just became my life for like 5 years. That band broke up. Then the next logical thing to do was the only thing I had been doing was start another band, keep writing music, and that's how The World of Birds came about with Connor and Ben, which is exactly how Bairre came about before. It was literally just common interests, going to the same places. Assembly was a big thing here. Meeting them there. They were in other bands. I loved their bands. Connor was in Nastic Sapphire, which was, and then Cute Couple, just acts I really enjoyed. So when it came down to me writing my own stuff, I just thought, cool, I'm going to see if those guys are interested. Thank God they were interested. And pretty much that's how The World of Birds came about.
Yeah. I read somewhere that your dad inspired you to get into music.
Well, my dad didn't really inspire me.
Yeah.
He's tone deaf, but he very good in the way of like following your dreams and your passions.
Yeah.
And I would have been more conservative if it wasn't for him. He was like, hey, no, go for it. It's like rather try and fail and just follow your passions. It's like that kind of, you never have to work a day in your life if you're doing what you love. He was just, that's how it was for him. I think that came from like his background of working a lot, and now he's like finding his passions and other things, and I think he just reckons like, I mean, it's not rocket science. It's like you are happiest when you're doing what you love, and then if you want to be happy for your life, you should do that.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's a weird one for most musicians and creatives in general. It's just kind of wrapping your head around that because of the or less security and of having the normal job. But I think it outweighs when you look back and you're like, wow, none of those decisions were bad because I was following something I loved. So yeah.
Do you think so many people have fear in terms of like following what your dreams and stuff? Because like that thing of like, I don't know where I'm gonna get the next meal, I don't know, because our career is also like difficult, you know? You never know if you're gonna have money, especially now in the space that we're in now, where there's no touring, there's no shows and all that stuff. Like
it's quite interesting. I was chatting to a friend recently, and when all of this happened, the one thing that actually showed was how like people who had the secure jobs and all that stuff, where they'd been doing everything, like kind of everyone who was losing their jobs, the freelancers who didn't necessarily have jobs before, on that constant grind, were surviving because they're like, hey, we've done this before. So in a way, it's like, I think it's just a new kind of way of living. It's definitely, that's the thing, it's like, you're nervous and stuff, but you've got to realize like any different profession, even people with 9 to 5s or
they also have this
jobs, everyone has like, it's about just overcoming those fears, kind of, otherwise you just become paralyzed. I think that's the biggest thing, where my dad was like, hey, it's not easy in any route, so don't
you might
worry.
as well do something that you love.
Don't be scared, just go with, it's all scary. You got to kind of wrap your head, everything you do in life is scary to a point.
Do you come from like artistic family, music family?
No. Actually, no, that's a lie. If my mum watches this, she'll be bummed. My mum's makes a lot of, like, she made this T-shirt for me. Like,
oh, nice.
She just makes everything. She's one of those people who loves to work with her hands. So I would say that she's very creative in that respect. And then my grandparents, who I never met, they passed away quite young. I know he was an architect, and so he was creative. But otherwise, my dad's not really a creative. Mom, no, I wouldn't say I grew up in a creative household.
Okay.
No.
Tell me the story of our bairre. I've like lately I've been just like going back to watching like the old music videos, you know, even just like in preparation for this, I was just like checking out even just like videos of people that have taken of you. And there's this video of you surfing, you are crowd surfing. But you know, I'm gonna see if I can insert that video, because like I just saw how bairre is like this crazy group of people, you know, that were like passionate about music. Even the way you guys did things, it felt so organic.
We were so young though, that's the thing. I was like 19 when the band really started and like started taking off, and I'd just been in school, and now I was like free to like drink and do things and party, and then also traveling the country, meeting new friends, people, and then also I think one of our bairre's biggest traits was being a live band, and we early on recognized like the more wild and crazy you get on stage, the more wild and crazy your audience gets, and the more fun a time live music can be. So that video, for example, I remember that it's the one where I'm on the raft.
You're on a raft,
and then I fall. I think someone just had a raft and said like jump on the raft, and then I stood up. And then fell hard. I had a bruise for a long time.
Oh damn!
I fell hard. But that was the kind of thing. It was just so much fun. Just have as much fun as you can. And I think then it was more just like, it's funny. The older you get, I feel like the less you appreciate now. You like the fear we were talking about
Yeah,
before, like
yeah,
increases more and
yeah,
more because
yeah.
you're not in a place you want to be
Right.
in life, and like for some reason that matters. And yeah,
I tend to get that when I attempt to skate. Right? If I give my son the skateboard, he'll skate with no fear.
yeah,
Because, it's his instinct. Jump on it, skate.
yeah.
But the moment I get it, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna fall.
It's like
10 people are gonna see me falling. Someone has a phone recording.
It's funny. It's
You
like
know?
it's like the more times we fall and like fail, the more scared we get. But it's so silly because also the better we get. And that, at a young age, you're just not thinking about it. I used to skateboard so much, and now I'm like petrified. I'm like, no, I can't. Yeah. So,
Like the moment I think of a skateboard, I'm thinking now I need to have money to go to the doctor first.
You know, like, this is my.
If I break my hands, my photography is messed up for a couple of months. Like
all these things, dude. Yeah. I always think like, especially in sports and that kind of stuff, it's so much easier when you start young. Starting sport now, I'm getting into a lot of sport now, like tennis and stuff, and I'm terrible at all of it. But it's
just
such
to
a
try.
joy. It's nice, yeah, exactly. It's
Right?
nice to just do and have a go and not take it so seriously. I think that's a nice thing. That like if you're like older and scared, it's also you don't need to be the best. You're like, I'm doing this for.
Do you think that's what sort of like draws many people back when they think of either starting a new career when they're older, or just like it's like simple as just like starting to play a guitar? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
that fear of
I've
failure.
Yeah, I've struggled with that a lot whenever I think about doing something, and this is definitely a post 2020 thing now that I've worked out, is that you can start a bunch of things and you don't have to be the best, or you don't have to put your like 1,000% into it.
Yeah.
And you can enjoy it, and you should just do it. And I think a lot of creatives have this mindset. I have, and I'm still kind of working through this. But like if I do something and it's not the best, or I'm not doing like it for 24 hours a day, or like this and that, then
It's not perfect.
It's not perfect. It's like, but I actually think it's like you're more interested in actually doing the craft and finishing it. And I've been terrible in that in the past, where I'm like, no, you have to have something that is going to be the best, and that's why you do it. It's like quite nice to now, like for example, start painting and like suck. Like I hate painting. I hate like doing art or like things with my hands, just because I'm so bad. And
I'm in that space as well.
but now I'm like, why do I hate this? It's like quite fun to just do the process instead of like be like, oh, I'm gonna be the best painter. It's like such a silly thing to think, but like that's what we think. It's like when
I literally defaced 6 paintings.
Yeah, it's
Right? Someone looks at them and like, they're fantastic. I'm like, no.
Well, that's good. At least someone's saying they're fantastic.
I can never put this out. I can never let anyone see it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's almost like a thing a lot of creatives have. I find this often with like, I know so many musicians who don't release music that they're doing, and it's like, no, it's not perfect, but like I'm like, but dude, it's great. I would love to hear this.
Yeah.
I know everyone else would, but they're like, no, it needs to be the best. And I think so many creatives just shoot themselves in the foot. It's almost like an ego thing. It's like, why do you have this ego that you think that this isn't? It's not in terms of like being a perfectionist. I get that often, but it's, I think, more like they're nervous about someone might say something bad, or like, but like, who cares if someone says something bad? Of course they should.
Do you think that's fueled by like the space that we're in now, like social media and stuff, where we feel like
super judgmental.
Yeah, we feel like just like reviews, the comment section has become like, some of the worst places that you can read. Even now when I drop most of these videos, I never look at the comment section, because sometimes you can have 1,000 likes, people love the video, then there's only one that says, why are you using this old camera? It's just like one comment.
But then on that same kind of idea, I also kind of like the reversal, because like back in the day, you used to have these like magazines that were like honest, like brutally honest. I think nowadays, like there's a lot of things where people don't get that. It's just like, or it's like shame. It's because it's like there's such a small scene. It's like, why would you bring like someone down within it? But at the same time, it's like you need that criticism. Like early Albert days, we used to get destroyed as well. It wasn't like all good stuff. It was like I think there was one night, that I've heard stories about where like the whole of there were some punk bands playing at Mercury, and at one point like someone got them chanting like "fuck out there, fuck out there."
What?
Yeah, they got the whole crowd chanting this, and I at the time I was like, oh, but I thought I was quite punk, but I wasn't at all. But it's like, see, there's that kind of stuff that just makes you like, okay, well, I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna do more outrageous things. I'm gonna do this, and it's like good for you. It's nice. Also, like looking back on it, having a bunch of people shout "fuck out there" is like one of my favorite stories ever, because they're like, well, we meant that much to
Right?
a huge crowd of people.
So much so that you made the whole crowd chant.
So,
Fuck out there.
so that whole thing, I also like. I love criticism. I think more shame. It's like hard to say because you don't want to be like shoot everyone down. But that's the whole thing. It's like you should be okay with it. Exactly to the point of like release the thing, do it. Who cares? Like maybe if you are, if you've been doing, I don't know, if you're at the top of your game doing one thing, you should maybe carry on caring about it. But on the side, if you're doing other creative things, lose the ego to begin with. I think it's very much in the beginning. Stop like, I'm not a painter. Just started painting. Like, I should be like, well,
don't put a label for it.
This should be like, this does suck. That
Enjoy
makes sense. Yeah. So,
You know?
and then you'll also probably get better as well. The more and more you try and fail, criticism, enjoying the process, not being so hard on yourself. Yeah.
Speaking of process, what's your process of making music?
Sure. Now it's been quite. There's a bunch of different things, because when you work with other musicians, like I do a lot. I'll say for like different examples, for like Nic Preen, the solo music I write starts with me and the guitar, and then progresses with layers and layers, be it another musician, being working with another producer, or just like I have a big band, so then having all these different things, or I know a lot of friends, or I'll be like, this I should have violin on this. Awesome. So that's how that kind of thing grows. With the World of Birds, Ben McCarthy starts with a project, or Connor actually now, starts with the basis of a song, sends it to me, and then I'll add what I think on top of it. And then, so it's almost like a reversal of the other side of things. But it's always a collaborative process. It's I don't know how. I mean, there's some interesting things now with recently where I'm going to release like an EP of other producers' music that's already kind of been written, and I just want to see what I can do with it. So it's almost like I'm remixing their music with one of my songs. So there's a lot of different things. It's quite fun. It's almost also the same thing where, because of this past year and how music's just taken a kind of like a dip. There's no live music. All the different streams, like revenue streams for myself and all the bands, doesn't really. Like, we worked so hard and we still didn't get where we wanted to be because of just all these other things. It just took a lot of pressure off, and now I think we're writing like the best music ever.
Right.
So it's also like thinking long game. Like, it's nice. It's like enjoyable. As soon as you understand that, you like your day to day is just happier. Yeah.
Like how different is your solo music to the World of Birds?
I would say like completely different, but that's always me. I've been writing like these pop songs with Monsieur, who's also my housemate, and he's like, no, your voice can't be on these. I'm like, dude, it doesn't sound like me. It's like a pop song. It's like, well, I mean, I write a lot of pop songs, but these are like very electronic pop music. That's something like Selena Gomez would like sing. And he's played it to like 3 people, and they're like, oh, that's Nic. That's awesome. And I'm like blinded to it. I'm like, oh, but I'm singing in a different like way, and
it's still you.
It's still me. So the same thing with like Nic Preen and the World of Birds. There's totally elements where someone's going to go like that. But I like to say that like Nic Preen is sit-down music, and the World of Birds is dance and pop. And the Nic Preen stuff is like, often a Nic Preen song is actually something Birds has passed on.
Nice.
Like the group's been like, nah, it's not really working. We're not going to do that. And then I'm just like, okay, well,
you do it
time
there,
by myself. It's a second thought. But it's a second thought that I want to finish. Like I really have a problem with not finishing things. I'm like the opposite of that. Like you got to release. I'll rather release a song early than have it sit in the atmosphere for years. Because I'm always like, what if?
Right?
Yeah.
You might as well.
Yeah.
What are you working on currently? You say you're working on an EP. When is the dropping and all this?
Yeah. So it's 3 EPs in
Nice.
my life at the moment.
Okay.
One is the Birds EP, which we've been working on for a long time. It's like the follow-up to our Before the Sun Comes Up EP. And that's the big one. And we're going to start working on a bunch of videos and stuff for that. So make sure like we really have our things. We really have everything we need before we start rolling that out. So I'm not sure when that's going to come out, but hopefully soon. And then I've got the Nic Preen solo EP, which I'm just finishing because in the holidays had a lot of time. And then there's that. Yeah, Nic Preen stuff is like hobby. It's weird to have like a hobby within your chosen career, but yeah, I just want to. So there's a lot of music coming up pretty much, and I need to like follow that up with content, videos. So yeah, looking for more people to collab with. You, example,
Yeah,
do
dude.
stuff together.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like thanks for the opportunity, man. Because I think it's been sort of like a dream of mine to sort of just be in the music space. Like I usually like just to document spaces and times where people don't get to see what happens like behind the scenes. Because like half the time when you see content from musicians, celebrities, or anything, it's like extremely polished. You know.
Yeah.
Because I like moments where like the song is not working and all that. Because I think that's what makes the music much more interesting.
Yeah.
You know, and I also sort of like the way you guys have a relationship with like your fans, like the way you guys chat with your fans, the way you respond. I think it's so important to even when the music drops or when the videos drop. I think there's that preparation like beforehand. You know that
Thanks, dude. That's honestly probably the hardest part of the job. Like the Connor and Ben will say to you, like, those dudes aren't like that's a problem. It's like being on social media and having like so much. They would be so much more comfortable if they were on tour meeting fans and stuff. But having to be on their phones. No, I don't want to be on a screen all day.
Right.
And I probably have a easier job of it, but. It is the hardest part and also the most important part to connect with people, say, hey, we're here, thank you for being here for us. Yeah, dude, thank you is to you as well. So,
How different is the connection, like in terms of when you're doing live shows, when you're on tour, and the social media aspect? Because I think there is a difference somehow.
I think there's a difference for us, but and there obviously is a different physical interaction. But I think if you get a reply, depending on how the reply is, it's the same as like meeting in person.
True.
For example, how we started this interview with you saying you commented on our post and then commented back, and that's how we started like doing it. I think that's as organic as meeting at a show and talking about it in person. Yeah. So that's what I think more people need to realize is it's as important. It's just a pity because
that can't happen in this moment.
I would love to meet people in person more. Yeah, I guess that can't happen. Yeah. And also just playing live music, it's like half the job. It's half the reason we're in it. Getting kind of sick and tired of being in a room.
Oh, dude, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
If there's anyone, like, is there anyone that you'd like to collaborate with, like right now, in terms of other musicians?
There's a few who I am, and I don't want to say in case the songs don't work out.
Oh, okay.
Said it, but two that I haven't spoken to that I would love to.
Let's say anyone who's major, like dead or alive.
Okay.
Someone that you'd have loved to, like, okay, cool, I would have loved to just have this guy play guitar or just play drums on this song.
My favorite musician ever is Paul Simon, so I would love for Paul Simon to produce a song. But also at the same time, I think it might not work at all. I would hate it. So yeah, I don't know. It's
Right,
just,
that thing of like meeting your heroes, and
yeah.
sometimes it doesn't work.
No, and also I think he's got some interesting vibes. And, yeah.
That's dope, man. But like, what are your thoughts in terms of the Cape Town music scene compared to Joburg? Because I think they just like from what I've seen,
Yeah.
they are a bit different. Like
Yeah.
Cape Town, you can create something that has a bit more like longevity, whereas Joburg is like a bit more frustrating. I think I always say like Joburg is like or New York, where like
Everything's more fast-paced.
you know
yeah.
everything is more fast paced. Everyone is rushing for something. You know.
Totally, but I don't know. I don't think that's a negative. I think honestly, people definitely for live music in the past, Joburg's done better. I mean, there's like Cape Town venues, and maybe Cape Town has the more bedroom artists. But in terms of like the scene in general, I think the one positive of everyone being at home last year was that how much music's being created, and I'm seeing so many like artists. Because I've been the cynic who's been like, no, there's no scene anymore. There's no like this and that, and then I'm just like turning into an old man because there's so much like good stuff coming out at the moment. And when we can finally be in a room all together, it's going to be, I think it's going to have a little explosion. That's going to be great for the music in general, especially locally. Plus also there's so much international interest in us here. So I think everything's going to have its, I think the whole world is going to have its like celebration when we can, yeah. So I think it's going to be a good thing for music. We're in the slump now, but it's hopefully uphill from here.
I also know you have other interests in like content creation, you know, because I've seen you did the video for, what was the documentary again that you worked on for Alice?
Yeah. So that's super.
Yeah.
And I really can't take any credit for that. That was, I introduced it to, but it was Julian, my partner at Super,
Nice.
who went over and went on tour with her. And it's one of my favorite like pieces of film ever, and she's just
That was
one of my
great.
favorite artists.
I enjoyed that.
She was my favorite art musician, was my favorite filmmaker. That was all Julian. Otherwise, the Super vibe is, it's pretty much just friends. I mean, you've been involved as well. It's me trying to get my most creative and talented freelancer friends in the same room as brands and get paid for it and make the whole freelancer journey less stressful.
Right.
Yeah. And it's
Why-
also just a passion. It's like
Yeah,
I'm into
yeah.
advertising and branding
Nice.
and film.
Like, do you come from that background? Have you worked in the agency space? Or?
I worked for Between 10 and 5.
Oh yeah.
And we did a lot of that kind of like short form media content. And so that's the thing about music and being in a band, and it's not just about being a musician. To be honest, I'm a perfect example of that, where I am definitely not the best guitarist, best keyboardist, best singer, or best anything like that. But I think I have a skill set for content creation and like social media and all the other things.
It's like branding.
Well, there's a thing where like I think musicians of today, or the modern musician, if they want to make it, they have to be everything. They have to be like entrepreneurial. They have to understand social media and marketing. They have to understand
You have to make
everything
merch.
from the
You
beginning.
have, an app, all that
design.
stuff. Yeah.
Every single thing. So that's how this whole thing is. It's kind of been birthed from that, from just coming out of school and starting with selling a product that was music, and now finding a passion for selling that.
Nice. What, like, in terms of branding, I actually posted something like a few weeks ago. I think something that I just noticed from like all the South African artists. Like, I just feel like most of them, they don't care about branding. It's just like release music. That's
It's
it.
tough. That's the thing. It's like
You know?
you kind of like this is what I don't know how to explain it. It's like I was having a chat with someone now who's like starting a startup, and they were like, I need a bigger team, and I need this, and then musicians don't realize how much they need a team, and how much how hard it is, and how the music suffers having to that's when someone just releases something, it can go to it's even now it's like really hard for your music to get out there, and then doing it by yourself, it's like impossible, and not doing all these other things to get your music out there that are just it might not be suited to it. So that's why you have to have like a bigger team and stuff like that. But those kind of things, it's just it's sad because don't know, but I think that's with everything. The world is so full.
Yeah,
It's
man.
really
Because I
hard
think
to get noticed, and you have to actually
it's
put
crazy,
in the hard, ugly
right?
work.
Yeah,
to
it's
do
like
the
it's crazy
nice
how
work.
just having a photographer as a musician
Yeah.
can literally just change your outlook of
Yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
Having a creative director, like,
Exactly.
you know, just like simple things like someone just saying, okay, cool, you're going to this performance,
Yeah.
dress this way.
And
Oh,
that's,
you know,
yeah, that's
you have
the,
merch.
That's the best thing about all the birds, in my opinion, is just that between us all, like Connor is an incredible filmmaker, he's an incredible photographer. We kind of cover all the things I've done, like the band's bookings for, I do all the admin and management. We take on these roles and responsibilities, and then we have a team. So we have a lot of support from our label Platoon. Danilo is really kind of. We probably wouldn't be much without him. So there's all these things, but we have taken on a lot of roles which we are good at. There's actually a funny, you can cut to this as well. There's
Yeah.
a great example of this is when we're on tour in PE and Connor was setting up a camera. He's like setting up a tripod to take a shot of us, and then you can like time it, and then he's running back from the timer. And I won't spoil it, you can play the video, but it's exactly that.
Yeah.
You'll see what I mean. Sometimes you need a person there taking your picture and not using your tripod and self-timer. Yeah.
It just gives you sort of like much more like time to concentrate on the music and not worry that, oh, we need to pay tax, we need to book this, we need,
Especially, like, it's
we need
just
to
not-
post on social media and all that stuff.
Yeah. Most creatives aren't like, they don't want to worry about that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's something that I've been noticing. Like, you see someone who's like great musician, but their presence in terms of like their connection with their fans could have been better if they just had a better Instagram.
Yeah.
If they just had merch, you know, because
totally.
when I see like when I look at their Instagram and I'm seeing their posts like, oh, when are you dropping merch? It's like simple things like that. You know, there's a connection that you get from just like having as simple as a phone case, you know, just like iPhone case that just have the world of birds, you know, because I think that's super important, but I just feel like most South African artists, they just don't put emphasis on
It's
it.
the same for anything. It's like it's the music business for a reason. But like in any kind of industry, you know, you have to do all those things. It's like hard work is called hard work for a reason. And otherwise, like I said, and like I was saying earlier, the best thing you can do is just make it a hobby, and not fake. Like if you want it to be fun, and like I think a lot of people, like here's an example. Is when an artist plays a show and they don't play their hits, and the crowd is like, why did he not play that song? Came there. I'm always like, why did you play that show if you're not going to play the songs for the people? If you want to, like, don't play.
Right?
Just go like play to yourself if you don't care about the other person there. So,
Like people have paid to come and see you play the hits.
and if you bummed that you put out some music and it didn't go as far as you wanted it to, then that's you. I mean, there's ways you can do it to change that. There's a lot of bad music out there that's been marketed very well.
Dude.
So if you don't really
crazy.
care, then it's cool as well.
Yeah. They're speaking of just
Release
that.
music for your friends. Yeah.
The kind of music that you get recommended to just by algorithms and just like, why? You know, but you see it's get like 50 million views. Oh, it's crazy, man. How just like marketing can just help just skyrocket even terrible art. You know, just as parting words. You know, what can you expect in the future? Just crossing fingers also that a tour might happen. You know, what can people look forward to, and also where can people find your music? Where can people find it?
You can find our music, or The World of Birds, at The World of Bird. Go check out Instagram. You can find me at Nic Preen. You can find the super work we're doing at Supervision, SUPAA Vision. And just go check out Instagram, and you'll find links to all the works and music and so on. And the future for me is, it's very up in the air at the moment, day by day. But everything I've said kind of just repeating that to myself every day because it's tough.
I think this is one of those videos you have to look back to, like,
I'll
okay,
watch
cool.
this back and be
I want to see what I've
I sounded smart
improved.
there. That's not how I feel.
Bro, thank you
Shot,
so
man.
much, man.
Thanks, dude.
Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you.
Sweet. Thank you guys for checking out my interview with Nic Preen. Interviews are coming every Thursday at 5 p.m. Check them out. I'll also be posting some vlogs. So also, like, let me know what you guys like to see. You know, let me know in the comment section what you guys are into. What do you want me to interview next? I'm currently in Cape Town, so anyone that you think I can interview in Cape Town, let me know so that we can get that done. Peace.